Democrats caught breaking COVID rules as the fight over vaccine mandates reaches a critical point. President Biden defying a citywide mandate in D.C. after he and the First Lady were spotted maskless at a ritzy restaurant while Secret Service members were covered up. The White House excusing the behavior this way.
There is a mask requirement inside D.C. restaurants, yet President Biden and the First Lady were not wearing masks while walking around a D.C. restaurant on Saturday. Why?
Well, I think what we were referring to is a photo of them walking out of a restaurant after they had eaten, masks in hand, where they had not yet put them back on yet. So I would say, of course, there are moments when we all don't put masks back on as quickly as we should. But I don't think we should lose the forest through the trees here.
President Biden not alone. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot being accused of COVID hypocrisy after posing maskless for a photo at a basketball game. Mayor Lightfoot is locked in a very bitter standoff with police over vaccine mandates. Up to half of the city's 13,000 officers could reportedly be fired if they don't get the shot. Today is also the deadline for Seattle police officers to submit their vaccination status. Here's one police officer. Let's go to this call for right away. A Washington trooper signing out for the last time. Let's listen here.
I'd like to thank the citizens of Yakima County, as well as my fellow officers within the Valley. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been very successful, and you've kept me safe and got me home to my family every night. Thank you for that. Wish I could say more, but this is it. So, State 1034, this is the last time you'll hear me in a State Patrol car. And Jay Inslee can kiss my.
So he has now left the building and the police force. Jesse.
Did any of these politicians think about attrition? I mean, that's obviously what's going to happen when you slap these vast mandates on these people. Right now in Seattle, they're going to lose, 140 officers in the middle of a crime wave, historic. We've already seen retirements there. And they're going into what's called Phase 4 mobilization, Dana, and they only use this during riots. It's when every single sworn officer has to come in 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and cover each other's butt. I just don't know how they're going to do that after they've had I think they just shattered a 3-decade murder number last year. They're already on pace to top that. And in Kings County, 80% of the drive-bys are Black Americans. So Jenny Durkin, the mayor, Black Lives Matter, don't they? You're going to keep police off the streets in that type of environment. But I have to talk about Joe Biden's dinner, Dana.
Okay.
Hunter Biden must have picked up the tab on this thing because this restaurant is even too pricey for Gutfeld. They have a caviar tasting for $250. Then they have something I've never even heard before, the New Zealand scorpion fish for $275. A Dover sole for $115. I've never seen it over $110. And then the guy must have had a lot of cocktails last night because he didn't even show up to work today. Joe Biden had no public events on his schedule today. I hope it was worth it. This is why this guy is so discombobulated. He walks indoors to a D.C. restaurant with no mask, but does a Zoom call by himself in the White House with a full mask on. That's why this country's so confused about COVID, because he's confused. And then in Washington, D.C., why do they even have a mask mandate? 7-day death average in D.C. is 0. It is 0. Why doesn't the mayor put on a bulletproof vest mandate? More people are dying from bullets than COVID-19.
You live in Washington, D.C.
I do.
Do you need a mask mandate there?
Listen, I will say that we've done a really good job of getting a good majority of our city vaccinated, so bravo to Muriel Bowser for that. Listen, and I get it. I think the truth of the matter is that these mask mandates can be annoying. Sometimes they're misleading because one city has them and the neighboring city does not have them. But when you have elected leaders who are supposed to lead the people not wearing a mask, it's really hard to then tell John Q. Public, you need to have your mask on when the elected official doesn't.
So what about Mayor Lori Lightfoot on that?
Well, listen,
It's not the first time.
I have a lot of problems with Mayor Lori Lightfoot, especially how she happens to be running the Chicago public school system and how she's not testing the students there. But it's worth pointing out that what's happening, the police department, like all the other city employees, have been asked to take the vaccine, right? The educators in Chicago, 90% of them are vaccinated. And they've turned in their vaccine cards, no problem. City employees, the same. She's also said if you don't want to get the vaccine, if you do not want to turn in a vaccine card, you can test twice a week. So if you test twice a week, you don't have to turn in a vaccination card. What I can't fathom here is this, This is about making sure that we keep police officers safe and keep them working. And when Officer Down reported that the #1 cause of death for police officers in 2021 and 2020 has been COVID-19, why would you not want to keep your police officers safe, which is the battle that she seems to be having with the head of the police
Katie, listen
union.
to Mayor Lori Lightfoot. This is what she said about police unions and insurrection.
Police unions are not authorized to strike. It's in their collective bargaining agreement, and it's a matter of state law. What we've seen from the Fraternal Order of Police, and particularly the leadership, is a lot of misinformation, a lot of half-truths, and frankly flat-out lies in order to induce an insurrection.
And I imagine some of those officers who decide that don't want to be vaccinated were frustrated that she goes to the basketball game and she doesn't have to wear a mask.
She gets to live her life with armed security while she tried to defund the police last year. She gets to do that. And now she's lecturing and telling these police officers essentially they're domestic terrorists who are trying to rise and create an insurrection because they happen to have a union that's standing up for their right of choice about whether they want to be vaccinated or not for whatever reason, natural immunity, maybe they have some other condition, maybe they just don't want the vaccine. But when you look at the way that politicians in general, like Lori Lightfoot, have handled this, and Joe Biden in particular, it can seem like, oh, well, it's just a mask that he didn't have when he walked out. But when you look at the videos of toddlers on airplanes getting kicked off with their parents and screaming, and when you look at kids sitting in school all day who are little, who have to wear that mask for 8 hours, it is infuriating to watch the president of the United States do this, and then the press secretary justify it and say, well, we don't really need to focus on that. There are consequences for this in D.C. There's a $1,000 fine if you don't comply. And if you're on Amtrak and you don't have your mask on, they can kick you off the train. And so, they can laugh about it. And I would argue that nobody should be wearing masks given the vaccination rate and the natural immunity. But if you're going to force other people to do it, and you're going to throw kids off airplanes with their parents and they're just trying to go see their families, then he should be leading and, take it away from everyone if that's the case.
Greg, for a brief moment this morning, I thought, well, maybe with this hypocrisy on the mask, maybe they'll just decide that we can let it go and let it be people's choice if they want to wear a mask or not. But apparently that's not happening.
No, you've got to separate the power from the powerless, and the mask does that wonderfully. And why should Lori Lightfoot have to wear a mask and hide that beautiful smile? Because, she has so much to smile about. And to hide it, in my opinion, is a crime. I think when you're talking about the kids and everything like that, we are now in the tyranny of safety phase where I had to go get a medical procedure on Friday, an endoscopy. It was required that the person driving me there and the person picking me up had to be either mandated a shot or a negative COVID, even if they didn't enter the building. That's insane, all right? But this isn't about the practical benefits of masking. It's about how the jackasses that relish reprimanding us do not follow their own protocols. That's why they got into politics, so they can create the laws that they are immune from. We hate line cutters. That's in our blood, our genetics, and people who scoff at laws that we follow. But when the line cutters are the people who control the line, that's war. I mean, that's the let 'em eat cake phase of this, is when somebody is actually telling you the rules and violating them in front of you. On a smaller scale, it's like politicians who start wars, but their kids are immune from the draft.
Yeah.
It's like we create and enforce the laws that we then mock. And we see this, and it's from Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick to Hunter Biden with his guns and his crack. Political power is that safety net that keeps you from being arrested or being in trouble, especially if you're a Democrat.
How is your procedure? How did
it went smooth.
Yeah.
Very smooth.
That's what you want in that.
Yes,
you want that to go well.
They went the little camera down there. They did find your class ring, Dana.
Oh.
Yeah, I apologize.
Small. I mean, it's small.
Yeah, and the diamonds will be coming out later.
Okay, great. If you could just pick those out for me.
Yes.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.